If you want your business to have the cultural impact that Tolkien or Disney or Star Wars or Marvel has enjoyed, you can't just offer a single product or service. You can't even offer a single line of products or services. You have to create a world that customers can inhabit. You have to have multiple touch points, which means multiple entry points into your brand universe. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 33 of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. My name is Chris LeBrun. I'm your host. I'm a productivity coach, and it's just so great to have you here for this episode today. I'm always excited when people spend time investing in their goals, and that's what you're doing through this podcast. I say it all the time. The purpose of this podcast and my work as a productivity coach is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. I could say so much about each of those simple little phrases, just 2 words in each phrase, right? But I wonder if you are really giving yourself permission to dream big. It's something that we don't always do all the time because honestly, it's a little scary. If you are really dreaming big, it's probably a little bit scary. You may feel a bit out of your depth, and that's the point. What you've done so far isn't bad, but it's gotten you to where you are now. It's gotten you to here. And if you want more from your life and for your life, you have to do more than you've done before. You have to reach further. You have to try new strategies. You have to face new challenges. You have to be willing to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions that come when you dream big. The first step to living the life you want is by dreaming big. And I hope that that's what you're doing by being here today. And I challenge you, if you're not, to take time, think about what it really means to dream big in your life. What would that mean for you, for your family, for your job, for the things that are important to you? That's what we want you to start doing. And that's what we want you to start thinking about. And today is a great episode to do that. Look, we are going to bring out your inner geek in every single possible meaning of the word. We've had some episodes where I've nerded out on productivity stuff, but this episode is going to have something for every nerd. I mean, for everyone. Okay, no matter what your geekdom is, you will find a place today. And not long ago, I heard about the idea of world building. Now, this is something that I've heard about before, but never really thought about it from a business perspective. And I definitely never thought about it from a productivity perspective. And so we're going to do that today. And don't worry, if you are already lost, it's okay. It will be clear before the show is over. You're probably asking yourself, what is world building? What is that? And what does it have to do with productivity, with business? Well, think about J.R.R. Tolkien, author of The Lord of the Rings. Now, he didn't just write a couple of books. If you've read them, you know this to be true. If you watch the movies, you probably understand this as well. Tolkien was so committed to this idea of world building that he created entire languages, genealogies, maps, histories, mythologies for this world that he was creating, Middle Earth. We see this a lot in sci-fi and fantasy and even superhero stories, right? Star Wars does this, Star Trek, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Marvel's Avengers, DC Batman. They all have this deep, rich backstory and lore that creates multi-dimensional stories, literally in some cases, right? And they create multi-dimensional characters as well. What if the same principles that made Lord of the Rings and Star Wars these timeless classics could transform your business and your life? That's what we're going to dive into in this episode as we look deeper into the idea of world building and transmedia and look at some applications that you may want to explore for your business ecosystems and even holistic productivity and life design. So that's what we're going to do here. Now let's look at world building a little bit more before we figure out how to apply it in our life. Now, world building is connected to another literary style called transmedia storytelling. Transmedia was coined by Harry Jenkins, and it's this narrative technique that spreads a fictional world across multiple platforms, with each medium contributing a unique piece to the overall story. The core concept is you are creating a unified story world that exists independently of any single medium. This is an evolution in storytelling and in writing and literature. You used to pitch the story. Hey, I've got this great story, right? Let me tell you about it. Then we started pitching a character. What if we had this character who was like this? Now you pitch a world, because a world can support multiple characters and multiple stories across multiple media. This is the idea of transmedia story. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying every to-do list or project management app, you know how exhausting it can be. You download the app, you set it up, enter all your data, and then scramble to cancel it before the trial ends. Trust me, I've been there and it's no fun. That's why I love Efficient.app. Alex and Andra, a husband and wife team, have spent over a decade testing and reviewing software of all types so you don't have to. Calendars, project management, banking, planners, email marketing, you name it, they've covered it with honest reviews and side-by-side comparisons. And they don't sugarcoat it. If a tool isn't worth your time, they tell you straight up. I've personally found their reviews super helpful when I was trying to sort through different project management apps. It saved me a ton of time and frustration. Best of all, they often have special deals on the tools they recommend so that you can save money. I'm especially grateful to Efficient.app because they've been supporting the Holistic Productivity Podcast since the very beginning. The best way to check them out and support the podcast is through the link in the show notes. So next time you're looking for software, let Efficient.app do the work for you. Trust me, you will not regret it. Tell it. Let's look at some historical examples. The Wizard of Oz and L. Frank Baum was an early pioneer with 13 novels. He did comics, he did stage productions, even mock travelogue lectures. We talked about Tolkien, the languages, the histories, the map, creating this Middle Earth as a fully realized place. Walt Disney created an experimental universe in the 1950s that has endured and grown across the decades. It started with movies and television shows and theme parks and merch, and now has launched into music and cruises and pin trading, right? There is so much inside the Disney universe for fans to enjoy. Now, some modern examples of this, of course, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU. 30 plus interconnected films to date in a shared universe. And again, this goes across time dimensions. There's TV shows, there's movies, there's comics, of course, right? All of this coming together in this MCU universe. We talked about Star Wars thriving across films, TV, comics, books, video games, and you've got a lot of different properties. You've got The Mandalorian, you've got the original Star Wars movies. You get the idea. Another one is Harry Potter with the Wizarding World. And now you can go to the theme park, you can read the books, you can watch the movies. And it is so embedded in our culture that people have Harry Potter themed weddings and wear house scarves. Another example is Pokemon. Is seamless integration across games, anime, trading cards, and merchandise. You get the idea, right? In transmedia storytelling, the world becomes more important than any individual story within it. And multiple entry points allow different people to connect in different ways. I'll give you an example. I have never watched anything Pokemon. I've never played the game. But when the Pokemon Go game came out, I thought this is a great way to interact with my kids. And so I got into Pokemon Go for my kids. They were at the perfect age for it then. Plus, there was all the competitiveness of trying to get to the next level and all of that stuff. That was an entry point that I was able to take because it spoke to me when literally nothing else in the Pokemon universe does, right? So these multiple entry points allow everybody to have a way to get involved in the story. It tailors the experience in many ways to what I'm interested in. The depth that is provided by transmedia creates discovery. Fans can dive deeper and always find something new. If you are my age, you grew up with Star Wars, the movies, the original trilogy. But what you may not have known was that there were tons and tons of books out there that were in that same world as Star Wars. One of the most amazing movies for me in the Star Wars universe was honestly Rogue One. And I hope I'm not giving any spoiler alerts here, but I was just amazed at how well that story, which was kind of independent on its own, characters that I had never heard of. I guess they're in other parts of the universe, but never really heard about them myself. They had this whole story that led us up immediately before the original OG Star Wars movie, A New Hope. And to me, I was just blown away by that. Now, let's put this into the perspective of world building in business. If you want your business to have the cultural impact that Tolkien or Disney or Star Wars or Marvel has enjoyed, you can't just offer a single product or service. You can't even offer a single line of products or services. You have to create a world that customers can inhabit. You have to have multiple touch points, which means multiple entry points into your brand universe. Research shows that it takes an average of 7 interactions with a brand before customers make a purchase. So the more opportunities that you have for them to interact with you and your business and what you're all about, the better it is, the faster you will get them to make that purchase. We've seen this in recent years with the rise of omni-channel marketing. Rather than limiting marketing to one single channel, say TV or radio or social media, for example, now companies are using all available channels to build out a consistent brand messaging campaign, no matter where customers are. You also have to build a customer journey that includes awareness touch points, right? That could be social media, content marketing, ads, word of mouth. It needs to have consideration touchpoints, which could be your website, your reviews, email sequences, or even free trials. You need to have a customer journey that also includes purchase touchpoints. What's the checkout experience like? What are the sales conversions like? How do you onboard them so that you know how your product or your service works? And you also want to have post-purchase touch points so that you can have customer service and community and loyalty programs, feedback loops that tell you how your customers are enjoying their product or service that they have from you. What are some companies that are examples of this idea of world building in a business perspective? Well, the first one that's probably coming to mind is Apple. Apple is a huge example of this world building idea because they offer products that attract different types of users. They started with computers and they went to phones and now tablets and watches and TV. And even before that, they had the iPod, right? These were different entry points. Each product that they launched attracted a different type of user. Maybe somebody that had never used the computers before is now using their phones. And then they rolled out services that support these products. You have the Apple Music Store and Apple TV, Apple Fitness for the watch, and Apple News and Apple Games. They also sell accessories, and they keep bringing you back in to the Apple universe. But the culture has also created value add products that work seamlessly together. You've got customer support in a developer community. You've got Apple Care, right? All of these things work to keep you in the Apple universe. And I know my wife has looked at some of the other phones, from Samsung or whoever. She's like, oh man, I really like those phones. And I keep reminding her that once you leave that Apple ecosystem, you've got to start all over again. You've got to buy apps that you already own. You've got to learn new things. You got to download new software. And Apple has done a really good job so far of keeping my wife in the ecosystem because she doesn't want to have to go through all of those different things to move to a different phone that she thinks is cute, right? Another example is Nike. They started out as a shoe company, but they have gone so much further than that into apparel and apps and personalized experiences, social campaigns, retail experiences, community building, right? Nike has done a fantastic job with all of these things. Now think about your business. This might be a business that you work for, or it might be a business that you own. But how can you create multiple ways for customers to experience your brand? How many entry points do you offer? Notice Apple and Nike didn't start out with a huge ecosystem, but they didn't just stay where they started. They didn't stay with computers or shoes. Both companies were able to create an army of superfans, people who are desperately loyal to Apple and to Nike. World building has massive implications for your business. Think about this. Just a 5% increase in your customer retention has the potential to boost profits by over 25%. Okay? And businesses who are adopting omni-channel strategies see a 30% higher customer lifetime value. So here are some strategic questions that you need to ask yourself. Number one, where does your ideal customer spend time? Meet them there. Meet them where they're at. Spend time with them in those spaces. Okay? Question number two, what are all the ways that someone could discover and engage in your brand? It should not be any surprise that this podcast is one way that people find the Wholistic Productivity brand. Maybe they've never seen the planner. Maybe they've never known that I was a coach, but they find this content somehow, somewhere on the internet. And they say, oh, hey, that sounds good. I want to hear more of that. So what are all the ways that people can engage and discover your brand? Question number three, How can each touch point that you offer add unique value while pointing users to the larger ecosystem? It's not just about having all of these different ways that they can discover and engage with you, but you have to be leading them to a larger ecosystem. And question number 4, what would transform a one-time customer into a lifelong superfan? You know, holistic productivity started with just a planner, and it is evolving into so much more. It's the podcast, it's the coaching, there's courses and community. And, these are all different ways for people to find what works for them, find the way that they want to engage, and have an opportunity to do so. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. Living with pain is no fun at all. Whether it's sore muscles from a workout, nagging joints, or even stress that just won't leave you alone. That's why I love Little Golden Shepherd. They make all natural butters from organic herbs and essential oils, formulated to ease pain, reduce stress, and even soothe sensitive skin. I use the muscle butter after tough workouts, and the joint butter is perfect for my knees, which somehow were bad even when I was a kid. I'm so grateful to have Little Golden Shepherd sponsoring the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. The way they support the show is super simple. Every time you shop through the link in the show notes, a portion of your order helps keep this podcast going. And here's the best part. If you use the promo code WHOLEPROD, you'll save 15% on your first order. That's promo code WHOLEPROD, WHOLPROD. Try Little Golden Shepherd today. You're going to love it as much as I do, and your muscles will too. But maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm not growing a business. I'm not creating a literary masterpiece. Is this world building, this transmedia thing really for me? Well, the good news is that I think it is. I think it has broader application than just storytelling and business growth. In fact, what I love about this idea of world building and transmedia is that it kind of supports the concept of holistic productivity. Just as Tolkien's Middle Earth wouldn't feel complete with only hobbits and no elves, your life isn't complete when you're only succeeding in one area. Achieving goals in only one area of life is a shallow experience. It's a single-dimensional achievement, and we are looking for multi-dimensional growth in holistic productivity. That's going to create a rich and interconnected life ecosystem. So what does that ecosystem look like? Well, in your career and finance, you're seeing professional growth, income, and impact. In your personal growth, you are learning new things. You are exploring your hobbies and your creativity, and you're pursuing spiritual development. In your health and wellness area of life, you are expanding your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. With your relationships, they're becoming stronger with your family and your friends, your romantic relationships, your community connections. And in your purpose-driven life, you are building something that matters, whether that's a side business or a project that has deep meaning for you. In your environment, you are creating physical spaces and routines and systems that support you and allow for you to continue to grow. And you are contributing back to society through your legacy and the impact that you have on others. This ecosystem thinking matters for holistic life design. Each area of your life is a touch point with yourself and with your values. Success in one area amplifies success in the others. When your health improves, we see improvements in work performance. Strong relationships reduce stress, and personal growth creates career opportunities. Neglecting one area creates friction in your entire system, just like a business with one terrible touch point can lose customers. Multiple areas of growth create resilience, and if one area struggles, others can provide stability and support. When you have a rough day at the office, you can find comfort in relationships or even a good hobby. Trust me, Lego is therapeutic for me, right? It's not just something to decorate my office. It is therapy for me. When we think about the multiple entry points concept of life, what are we talking about there? Well, different seasons of life emphasize different areas, and that's okay. But maintaining some presence in each area keeps the ecosystem alive. For example, maybe this is a busy season at work for you. Maybe you can't hit the gym 5 times a week, but you can still maintain a morning walk and your meal prep on Sundays, right? The goal isn't perfection in every area. It's intention and attention to the whole ecosystem. Let me say that again. Perfection is not the goal. Intention and attention to the whole ecosystem is what it's about. We've talked about creating a super fan experience. If a customer needs multiple positive touch points to become a super fan, what about you? When was the last time that you had a win in each area of your life? Where are the gaps in your life ecosystem? What touch points do you need to optimize or add? All of this has a compounding effect. We saw how literary world building creates depth that makes stories unforgettable, and how business world branding creates loyalty that makes customers lifelong advocates for your brand. Just the same way, life world branding creates fulfillment that makes existence truly meaningful. So, here's some practical application that I want you to look at and think about. We're going to start off with a world building audit for your life. Rate each area in your life on a scale of 1 to 10. You can use the broad categories that I talk about of professional, personal, and purpose-driven, or you can get a lot more focused and narrow than that and look at more areas. Identify which areas have been neglected and set one goal in your weakest area. Again, not to achieve perfection, but just to show up and to take stock and to bring attention to that area. Notice the connections that exist between these different areas of your life. How does improvement in one area support another area over here? What you want to do eventually is create your own transmedia experience. What does success look like across all areas of your life? I do this with my coaching clients by asking them to create a vision for their life based on their values. And once we have that vision, we can start creating a plan for them to achieve that vision. Here is the last challenge that I want you to take on this week, and this is the integration challenge. Over the next week here, identify one area that you can strengthen in your business ecosystem and one life area that you've been neglecting. Remember, you're not just building businesses or achieving goals, you're world building. And as we talked about, the richest experiences come from depth and interconnection and multiple dimensions working together. So to recap, the idea of world building, these principles apply across literary creation, across business strategy, and even across life design. The through line in all of this is that multiple interconnected touch points create depth and loyalty and richness. So the call to action that I'm giving you today is, what world are you building in your business, in your life? Are you building a world that has depth and meaning and brings fulfillment? Or are you just building a surface level world? Remember, Holistic productivity isn't about doing more. It's about building that integrated ecosystem where every part of your life supports the whole. Okay? That's it for the show today. Thank you for being here. I hope this was helpful. Check out the show notes. I'll provide some links to some information about transmedia and world building. Those who are going down this rabbit hole with me, you will enjoy seeing those as well. But you can find the show notes at holisticproductivity.com/33. Show notes will be there. Make sure that you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube so that you get the next episode when it drops on Tuesday. We always drop an episode on Tuesday. I know you're not going to want to miss the next episode, so like, follow, subscribe, whatever you have to do on your platform to get that show right away. Also, if you liked the show, if this was just like kind of mind-blowing and something that was like, oh, wow, that really resonates. If you could rate the show, I would love that. Not for me or my ego, but so other people can find this and have the same type of transformation that I think you are having from this show as well. Be sure to follow at Wholistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, Substack. The list goes on, but a lot of great productivity tips and motivation there all week long. So check that out. And as I am talking about this idea of world building, join Holistic Productivity on the school platform. We have a growing community there that is focused on helping each other be more productive in every area of life. And if you are looking for more of that, again, there's just so many great resources and community there on school. It is another dimension to this holistic productivity world that we are building, and I want to see you there in school. Again, thank you so much for listening. As always, my goal is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. We'll see you next time. Take care. Before I sign off, close your eyes for a minute, unless you're driving, but close your eyes and imagine this. It's Friday. You're excited for the weekend. TGIF, right? You're wrapping up the work week, getting ready to leave the office. But as you're walking out the door, you start to reflect on the week and you say, what did I even accomplish this week? It's a frustrating feeling and a horrible way to start your weekend. You know that you've worked hard all week, but you have little or nothing to show for it. If you've ever had these feelings at the end of your week, I have a special offer for you to help you on your productivity journey. I talk about it all the time. Being intentional with your time is one of the biggest parts of productivity. And one of the best ways you can be intentional is to plan your week. Planning your week provides clarity on your priorities. It eliminates confusion about what needs to be done, and it sets you on a path for success. Now, I've developed the perfect tool to help you plan your week. I call it my Sunday strategy. And I want to give you my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide absolutely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter. The guide offers clear strategies for using the principles of holistic productivity to plan your week. You'll have a mindset shift away from the toxic aspects of productivity, and you'll get step-by-step directions for using the Sunday strategy worksheet. With my Sunday strategy, you only need 15 minutes each Sunday to plan out your entire week. It'll let you identify major projects and tasks that are coming up, assign those projects to specific days, and best of all, there are different sections for each area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven, so you can reach all of your goals. My Sunday strategy worksheet also includes a weekly habit tracker to keep you focused on the habits that you want to develop. So if you want to avoid those Friday feelings of frustration and despair, you need my Sunday strategy worksheet. It's the perfect planning tool to help you build the winning strategy for your week. It's a resource you can come back to each day to keep you focused on reaching your goals, and it's an accountability tool to help you track your progress. Basically, it can help you have the most productive week ever. Like I said, it is completely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter, which also features more strategies and tips to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. To get my Sunday Strategy worksheet and guide, go to mysundaystrategy.com and sign up. That's mysundaystrategy.com. There will also be a link in the show notes, but again, mysundaystrategy.com. Look forward to having you back here for the next episode of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast.